In December 2023, I embarked on a journey that will always hold a special place in my heart. From exploring Spain and Portugal to experiencing the aftermath of one of the deadliest earthquakes in Morocco. Hey everyone, this is Dr. Hurricane Hal Needham, extreme weather and natural disaster scientist with the GeoTrek project. Welcome to GeoTrek's YouTube channel. We're so excited to have you here and to explain a little bit about what GeoTrek is. You know, with GeoTrek, we explore the world investigating stories about extreme weather and natural disasters not covered by the mainstream media. I was so excited to embark on my first ever long-term international trip where I went to Morocco, Spain, and Portugal in December of 2023. I chose this region for three reasons. Number one, they experience a lot of extremes in this part of the world, from earthquakes and tsunamis to incredible heat and drought in places like Morocco, Sahara Desert. This region has a lot of extremes that I wanted to investigate. Also, unfortunately, Morocco experienced the third deadliest natural disaster on the planet in September 2023 when a 6.8 magnitude earthquake struck the Atlas Mountains. I wanted to get on the ground a few months later to just see what the impacts of this are and how people are recovering from this massive natural disaster. Number three, I actually spent several years on the ground in Morocco, about 23 years before I took this trip. So it was a chance for me to go back to a culture and language I was familiar with, see how it has changed, see how I've changed, and to kind of pick up where I left off with my international travels quite a while ago. I'm so excited for you to come on this adventure with me. It was a fantastic trip. I took a lot of photos and videos. I think you'll really love them. So I flew from the States through Madrid, Spain to Casablanca, Morocco, where I spent 3 days kind of traveling up the coast in the urban part of Morocco. I eventually got to Tangier, Morocco, where I took a ferry from Africa to Europe. You can actually do that. There's a ferry that goes from Morocco to Spain. I got to the southernmost port city in Europe where I made a major mistake. I ended up losing my passport within 1 hour of arriving in Spain. Everything's okay now. I've got it back and I'm good to go. But that was an adventure within the adventure. Then I ended up in Cadiz, Spain, where I met with two Spanish coastal flooding scientists to learn more about the impacts of the 1755 tsunami and how they're prepared for coastal flooding today. I took an overnight bus to Lisbon, Portugal, where I went to the Quake Experience. This is one of the best science education centers I've ever seen in my life. It's like science education and an escape room all in one, learning about the 1755 earthquake and tsunami. And then I took a bus up to Nazaré, Portugal. I could not resist this. Nazaré has some of the world's highest coastal waves. The day I was there were 30-foot, 10-meter waves coming in with surfers riding it. It's one of the really centers in the world of big wave surfing. So I got a lot of footage of that as well. And then, although I wanted to stay longer, it was back to Morocco. I took a direct flight from Lisbon, Portugal to Marrakesh, Morocco. Spent a day in Marrakesh, which is a crazy city and a lot of fun. And then a bus across the Atlas Mountains, where I finally made it to southern Morocco in the Sahara Desert. I traveled to the heart of the Atlas Mountains to a village called Assoul that was very devastated by the September 8th earthquake. A woman named Hafida and her neighbors and family took me in. They cared for me, they fed me, they actually helped me wash my clothes and hang it up because I was traveling around the country, and they showed me the absolute devastation on their homes. I had never seen earthquake damage like this before. I was really blown away. Here's a little bit of a clip of an interview I recorded with Hafida. When I interviewed Hafida, she took me back to her home to reenact where she was when the earthquake struck. She and her daughter were outside the home, ready to go back inside, and her hand was actually on the door right when the earthquake struck. Here she's showing bang, bang, bang. The door was shaking. Everything was falling down. They were very fortunate. Had the earthquake struck just a few seconds later, they would have been inside the home and may have been injured by a falling wall. You might be wondering how these people are living now that their houses have been destroyed. They're actually surviving by living in tent communities. While tenting always sounded fun to me, spending an evening with them in these tents was anything but fun. You see, although we were in Africa, we were in the northern part of the continent at a high elevation, and it got very cold at night. so cold that there was ice on the outside of the tents. These people are in a hard situation without electricity and really without heating sources, so we were all just shivering under blankets in these tents. Imagine being in a situation like this with your kids and grandkids, shivering not for one night, but for an entire winter with really no path forward to get out of this and find comfort. The day after I left their community, I started posting these stories online, and a lot of people in our GeoTrek community said, is there a way that we can help these people? Well, there actually was. One of their biggest needs right now is staying warm this winter. For $50 US, you can build a bamboo frame around a tent that enables them to hang insulation on it and to keep a family warm. When I shared that need, I was amazed that a lot of money came in, actually $1,100, enough to keep 22 families warm this winter as they endure the aftermath of the earthquake in their tent communities. What I loved about this is they were sending us pictures every day from the progress that was being made on the ground, and we were able to share that with our online group back in North America. A lot of our followers in our community, what they loved about this is they said with a lot of disaster relief organizations, a big part of what you send may go to cover administrative costs. In this case, 100% of the funds raised went directly to helping the earthquake victims. And people said they just love knowing that they could give money. It went directly to help these people build these bamboo frames to keep their families warm this winter. Well, the Morocco earthquake story is one of my favorite GeoTrek experiences ever. Although it was heartbreaking to see these people suffering in this natural disaster zone, it was amazing to see that we could help them in some way. You know, I went to really understand and document the science and the impacts of the disaster. It wasn't really even a goal of ours to raise any money or help people out financially, but we were just able to do this organically. And that's part of the beauty of the GeoTrek community. We have the GeoTrek podcast, now ranked the #1 podcast for natural disasters. We have an online community on Facebook called GeoTrek the Community. We're at workshops, we're at conferences, we're always on social media. You can follow us and be a part of this organic community. We can't tell you when the next fundraiser will be because I think it's going to happen organically as people get drawn into these amazing stories and they feel connected with people in natural disaster zones. They often are going to want to give or help these people out. So I'd encourage you, be a part of our online community, listen to our podcast, and come out and see us at conferences and workshops. Along the way, you're going to get a lot of opportunities to not only learn more about the science behind extreme weather and natural disasters, but hear about the people that are impacted and even some ways that we can help them out along the way. If you like this video, if you are moved by these stories, like and subscribe us not only on YouTube, but also on your favorite podcast platform. This story of this adventure to Morocco is not the end. It's just the beginning of really big stuff that we're planning to do in the States, in Canada, and internationally. So like and subscribe us. This isn't the end. It's really just the beginning.